welcome to episode 11 of When Harry Met Sally. Hey, Harry, how are you?
Good, Sally. How are you doing?
I'm really well. I'm very excited about today. The last episode with Vanessa Gerrans from BIFB was amazing. And we're going to be taking a really different turn today, and we're going to be talking to the wonderful Danie Sprague, who's the photo editor of The Age, about all things photojournalism. And I don't know if you know this as a fun fact, Danie and I actually grew up together.
Wow.
Did you know that? And we kind of found each other a few years ago and said, what are you doing here? What are you doing? And it's been pretty amazing. And how did you meet Danie originally?
I stalked Danie into coming and judging the Australian Photography Awards with us.
There we go.
Didn't stalk me.
We love the stalkers. So you were really one of our first people when we decided to do When Harry Met Sally. We put a list together and we thought, we've got to get Danie on.
Oh, it's fabulous to be here, girls.
Thank you so much. So it's a pretty interesting time in photojournalism at the moment.
It is.
What's going down, Danie?
Oh, what's going down? What's going up? Not a lot's going up. Well, there are some wins, but look, the company that I work for is sort of a skeleton of its former self. We had a massive pictorial department of 30 odd, and after Fairfax, the redundancies in 2017, we were it kind of felt like we were saved by Nine.
Yeah.
And it's been a positive experience for me and most of my team for that time, because we've had access to visuals like overnight television cameras and sort of content that we wouldn't necessarily have that we can feed online as well. So that's been advantageous. And they let us do our thing, basically, so they don't interfere. The television network's one thing, and they're all lovely people. They're all really great too. We started hiring people. I've been campaigning for an intern photojournalist for the last 5 years.
That was so exciting to see that notice go out earlier this year.
But it didn't come to happen. It's not going to happen, is it?
No. So I'm gutted. My team are gutted.
Yeah.
I guess with the virtual redundancies, the voluntary redundancies, I should say, that are coming around, we're going to lose a lot of people out of our newsrooms. So,
it's such a shame, though, Danie. I mean, when we were coming up through the ranks, I mean, people like Alex Koppel and all of those guys, that's how they all started.
Yeah.
They did their internships, they came through the ranks, they rose, they stayed with the organisation for 20 years.
what breaks my heart is that my 5 core full-time staff, there's a collective knowledge bank of so many years, so many years.
Yeah.
And the experience that could be, that people can learn from.
Yeah.
It's just so disappointing. But I guess I've got to look at the bright side and think, well, hopefully maybe I've lost that before I've actually got it. And that might be...
It's not been taken away from you.
It might be as bad as it gets for my department because, frankly, I can't really afford to lose any more.
Yeah.
And, we don't want to lose anyone really, but it's going to happen because it's cost-cutting and we work for a big organisation that wants to make more profit.
So how is there a lot of pressure on the photojournalists you have? Is there sort of more work than there are photojournalists?
Yeah, there is. We tend to manage it fairly well. I've got a lovely buffer of casual photographers like Darian, like Chris Hopkins, Penny Stevens, a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
So they pad my roster.
Yeah.
And when any of those 5 are on leave or they're sick, that's who I go to.
Yeah.
So it's a great team and just really, really talented people. So, look, we do it. We fight the good fight. We do our best every day. There's some amazing visuals that come out of the pressure of day-to-day media.
Incredible.
I have a philosophy that's kind of you're as good as your last job. So even with all the wins, you take that into account, like Eddie taking the Oceania category for World Press.
Yeah, how about
That was so exciting. I bet that gave a real boost to everyone, as well as him, of course.
Yeah, he's just been nominated as a finalist in the Kennedy Awards for that same picture.
Wow, incredible.
Yeah, and he's in Paris at the moment covering the Olympics.
And that Olympic spread he did in the news last week was incredible. And I read something that he actually sort of came up with that project, came and pitched it to you.
He did.
And what an incredible, with his huge, big, large format camera. I just think
incredible. The risk going right back to the roots of photography.
Yeah.
And, having
and
glass
how brave
plate
and ballsy of you to sort of go, let's go with it.
Yeah, let's do it.
This is the thing. I think in the day-to-day rat race of what we're doing, like 1 minute they might be covering a court case, and the next we've got to bounce them off to shoot a property job, and then they've got to shoot something else, and then file it. We want to send it live online. So there's a lot of pressure, and then they're having to get from job to job. They're also having to build relationships with people.
Yes.
So a lot of people in the newsroom don't really understand these things take time.
Yes.
And they've got to meet the person, have a look around, work out how they're going to take the shot, then file, caption, send them through. It's not instantaneous.
One of the things that you said before, you've been left with 5 full-timers and you've got some good freelancers.
Yeah.
But, you can only be in one place at a time.
Exactly.
Because of losing so many shooters. Do you think you're missing out on important imagery or important photography because you can't be everywhere all the time with only 5 people?
I don't think we miss out on too much of the important visuals that we need to cover. I think I've been with the company almost 20 years now, and with my experience in photography and photographic editing, you learn to have a sort of second nature. Whether you should send your breaking photographer at 7 a.m. to the fire or not, just because, stories are all intertwined and you sort of have a sixth sense about that. So sometimes you don't have the people to cover, and that's where we use services like wire services. So did you cover this, or whether it was a presser or something like that. So we don't really miss too many of those big things. I'd say I try to make the time for my team to shoot their passion jobs, which is a luxury, but I make sure that they can manifest their creative outlets and pitch us ideas like what Eddie did with the Olympics.
Fantastic. And Danie, for those that are listening to us now out there and are thinking, God, this sounds like a really cool job, what led you to this job? What did you study after school, or what did you do?
I did study, but I am the first photographic editor at the Age, I believe, that did not come from a photography background, as in I'm not a trained photographer. My background was I was an advertising stills producer, so I repped photographers. It was a very different world, and back then...
Yeah.
When I was young.
What are you talking about?
There were budgets like for ad campaigns that were just sort of, metro lights and bus shelters, or that were in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it would take a long time from casting models to location scouting, traffic management. You'd be dealing with art directors from international agencies, local, and it would sometimes take 2 months from start to finish to do a job like that. And the budgets were big. And I was also involved in publishing, and a friend of mine, Rob Banks, who used to work for The Age many years ago, was also a friend, and he said, you should come and work at The Age. And I was like, is it what I imagine it to be like open floor and
your wildest dreams?
Pretty much. And back then it was broadsheet. So I've been,
seen iterations.
I've seen it change like furiously.
And did you go straight into the photo department then at The Age?
Yep. Yeah. So I was hired as deputy features photo editor. which there's no such thing anymore.
Yeah.
So I was basically deputy to Banksy, who was features photo editor, and there was a team of 6 photographers, and we handled all of the sections, so everything except news and sport. So that would include, the magazines, employment, when we had all of these massive sections in the
When the paper was
broadsheet.
thick.
It was
Yeah.
huge, yeah. You could
It
belt
came in 2
someone with it.
sections, I think, didn't it?
Yeah. So that's where I started, and then I was invited by Lee Henningham, who's my predecessor, to come and do some time on the news desk, which was very different again, and just the pace, really. And then I was offered the role of Sunday Age picture editor, and I've been that as well ever since. And yeah, that's how I got to where I am now.
You're going to laugh at this question. Is it a 9 to 5 job?
Absolutely not. In fact, right off my weekends as well.
Do you know what I just said to when Danie arrived today, everyone? She just said, I've just come off a 15-hour, day, and I finally had a shower and I'm back there again tomorrow. And it's like, oh, we hear you, sister.
Yeah. But look, you get used to it. I actually don't mind working big days on weekends. Because I get to have a Monday off and a Tuesday off, and I can get around town and not fight the traffic with everyone else. So there are some positives that come out of that.
Do you think, we've been talking about, the cuts to the, photographers and the departments, and so has that cut the workload? As in, if the paper's not this big thing anymore, is it sort of reducing the time that you're sort of spending there, or is it the opposite?
Ironically, the focus on online news is a beast that needs to be fed and fed very regularly.
Yeah.
So, the pressure doesn't let up. I guess the good thing, though, is to compare it to my previous work, is that you start a day and you finish the day and you produce a paper and you go home and it's done. There's something very, very satisfying about that. Sure, we have jobs that we plan ahead for and stuff, but I find that really satisfying.
Yes, at the end of every day, you've got something to show for it.
That's right.
Yeah.
And to answer your question, Sal, too, it's basically my team, I have people on from 7 for breaking, and the last shift is 8 o'clock finish. So, and that's 7 days a week. So we stagger them and rotate them around, and
So it's not for the light-hearted, is it?
Absolutely not. No.
And for somebody, people that are listening to this fabulous podcast, what would you say to young photojournalists now, or people that are studying journalism or marketing that are interested in perhaps breaking into that area? What would be some advice that you might give to them?
Well, it's interesting you ask me that, because I may have not managed to get a photographic intern, but the Age has just put on 5 journalist interns.
Oh, wow.
And they have just been inducted, and Michael Batchelard asked myself and one of my photographers and my deputy to come and have a chat to them about our department. And after it, one of the girls said, "Oh, I wish I'd studied photography now." And I thought, great, you can always do that.
You can. And do you know what's really interesting? I work at a lot of different universities now, and we're churning out kids that are multitasking. So back in the day when I studied photography, and perhaps Harriet did, we did photography, or we did design, or we did advertising or marketing. Whereas now, and especially at schools like Collarts here, the kids come out and they're social media savvy, they've done video, they understand about photography, they can write.
Sound, everything.
And sound. And so my job in my business is a lot to work with them once they've graduated, to help them work out where their strengths are and what their skill sets are, because they can sometimes present to employers with all these skill sets but don't really know what the fuck they want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you were talking about that, I suggest that some of those journalists might be actually quite good at photography as well,
They
and
might.
could perhaps, and I'm so glad that you said that girl came across and said, because she might be the one that is in there, has infiltrated through journalism, and then you can just say, we want her over on this desk, like you did when you were coming through.
Well, I think it's really important that young journalists, like, we're a communication hub basically, so people need to have visuals with all of their stories. So we like to be the first port of call. So the editor might be briefing someone, we need you to write this story about this, or they'll come and pitch a story. We want to talk to them. We basically speak to those people first. The other thing that is not done so much anymore is journalists going out with the photographers because they're time poor and they're being, pressured to write more stories and file more stories. So to get out and spend time on the ground is a bit of a luxury.
So what, would they write the story in response to the photographs?
No, they would do all of their interviews via phone and they would write a story and then we would go out and shoot.
Photograph it. Yeah.
After the fact.
Yes, or sometimes the story's not finished, but we come up with an angle and say, how about we shoot this? And it sits there until the story's ready to be filed and published. So, yeah. So, look, I encourage all the young ones to spend time on the ground with photographers, especially like breaking news and also portraits and studio work because they learn so much, and it's invaluable, and it really allows them to look at it with a very different perspective.
And so these photojournalists that have been put on, have they come from around Australia, or are they all Melbourne based?
Yeah, they're from all over actually,
great.
And they're a really exciting young bunch.
They're hungry.
Yeah. They're hungry.
And we talk a lot about that with young people coming through, and I bang on about it, I think, in every episode. It's so much more than just what your craft is. It's about who you are, what your attitude is. Do you have a fire in your belly? Do you nod when people are talking at you? Do you take notes? We're working with Shaquille and Tristan here, and today I was blasting off all this stuff and I said, have you got that? And Tristan's going, I've written it all down. I went, oh my God, I love that. I love that. And it's just those really simple, dare I call them soft skills, but needed skills that we are building through our entire career, isn't it? And building this network and friendships and trust.
It's relationship building. It is trust. It's, which is why I can say that I've got such a brilliant team, because we've worked together for so long.
Yeah. And they trust you too, and they trust your
100%.
Eye and your, what image are you going to put on the front cover?
I go in batting for my crew, so I need to sell their visuals.
Yeah.
And everybody has an opinion in conference. There'll be other people, oh no, I think this should go on the front, and you'll have to argue your case why this shot's the best shot.
It's interesting because, in this industry, it can be quite solo, photographers going off on their own and shooting, but actually there's so much collaboration that happens, isn't there?
Yes, that's true, Harry, and it sort of happens like in silos, but it all comes together with a whole series of people, whether it's picture editors that are there checking captions and grammar and spelling, or, making sure they're correct and then pushing it through to the different platforms. So
we talked in another episode with Darian, who you know really well.
Lovely Daz.
Lovely Daz. And I was talking about back in I'm going to say it was 2013, when a lot of the photojournalists lost their jobs back then. And I had many of them coming through my business saying to me, I've never quoted on a job. I've never had to have a portfolio before. I don't know how to find clients. And it was this huge education process that I went through with a lot of those guys then. Can you see that happening again now? Because as they are losing their jobs, are they staying in photography, are you thinking, or are they sort of going, I've bloody had it, I'm off, I'm going to start mowing lawns, I'm going to do other things?
That change profession, and he was a great photographer, and you probably know Scott McNaughton.
Oh yeah, I know Scott.
Well, he became a policeman.
Yes, he did. He did.
Yeah, I remember that now, actually.
And I see occasionally posts on socials, and he's sort of wandered down, and it's like, if you've got if you've got it in the blood, you can't put a camera down forever. And it's so lovely to see him
teaching
shoot.
for a while at PSC.
He was teaching at
right.
PSC. Yeah, he was. I actually just met him recently this year because our teaching paths didn't cross at PSC, but I just met him. But it's interesting. We've spoken to so many people that just say, you know, when it's inside you, you can't help but just, you know, it all. And people get drained by it when the work and the creative side clash. But in the end, you sort of have to bring that camera back up and start taking pictures again.
Absolutely. And look, I like I said, I mean, it was sad to see him go, but it was like, you know, I'm sure the police force need people with the skills that you've actually got from being a photographer.
Well, do you know what? As a policeman, as a photographer and a policeman, I guess he'd had very keen life observation skills, and also being able to read between the lines and read a room. And perhaps also, you know, as a photographer, you know, I notice things that people don't notice. Like I'll look up in the trees, or I'll say, oh my God, look at that. And as a photographer, we are constantly looking around. So as a cop that goes to a scene, he might sort of go, well, there's a mark on that part of the road that nobody else has seen. I'm a frustrated cop myself because I love the police shows. I bloody love them.
Really?
Crime. You crime?
I love crime.
I love crime too. Crime podcasts, everything.
Absolutely.
Britt Bob's crime series. I'm off.
There was a picture, Sal, I don't know whether you saw it, but I think it was Kathy Lett that posted a shot of Mick Jagger in the crowd at the Olympics.
We saw it this morning.
And everyone sitting around were on they didn't even know that Mick Jagger was sitting next to them.
Oh my gosh,
it was a bloody classic. I saw it this morning.
That is what life's become.
It's so interesting. You know, my car broke quite a few months ago, and so I've been on public transport, and I make it a real. It doesn't happen all the time, but I really try and not look at my phone when I'm on the tram and the bus sometimes. Yes, I get a bus. And it's so interesting just to look around, and everybody is staring at their phone. Everybody.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because when I use my phone for communication and contacting, sending messages, like
I think
it's quite practical.
Good and not for evil.
Yeah.
It's so many people that you can see just scroll. And people are watching videos with the sound on in the carriage. It's very strange.
I think it's strange too. And sometimes I wonder whether it's whether it's our generation, because I remember social media is an occupational hazard for me. I'm on it, but I'm on it to sell the wonderful work of my team and to celebrate that. But I don't actually put anything personal, never have a pseudonym, never put, you know. And I one day was scrolling and thought, I'll never get those 2 hours back, and I've learned nothing in those 2 hours.
It's really...
And that's when I stopped.
Yeah. It's a really interesting phenomenon that is happening.
Totally.
You know, they're wonderful devices, and it kind of, I guess it kind of goes back to this news cycle.
Yeah.
And, you know, if people are just like flip, they're wanting to be entertained every flip, every swipe, every, you know.
Exactly.
And so that must be really hard to constantly be putting up enough content to keep people engaged with the platform that you're kind of working on, but also keep it, ethically great.
And relevant.
Current.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it must be a very challenging time and interesting time to be working.
Very interesting times, you know.
I'm going to ask you
go on.
Yeah, go on. I'm going to ask you a really, tricky question.
Okay.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
You just cut off my question.
I did. Have you finished?
Well, I had, but she was answering it. But
Keep going.
I've forgotten what I was saying.
Shaquille's waving his hands at me that we haven't got much time.
I was just going to wrap it. I was just going to circle that off. What Harry was saying is that it's an interesting social phenomenon, and even the way kids are being educated at school, and, you know, the whole social media, COVID lockdown, and how that changed the way people interact. And I think it had benefits because it kept people feeling connected, but I'd rather go to a pub and meet people in the flesh any day, you know.
Yeah.
Is it finished
Did
now?
someone say pub?
Did someone say pub? Yeah. Is that question finished now? Mate, can I ask? I'm going to ask, I want to know, and it might be a hard one because there'll be so many. Okay. What's your favourite photograph you've ever published?
Oh.
That's impossible.
Or one of your top.
That's like asking
one of your
me
top
what
100.
my favourite food is
Yeah.
or my favourite song.
One of your top, one of your favourites.
Ooh.
Ponder on that. We'll ask you another question.
I can think of many actually that spoke to me for various reasons. But they're all unique. The story and how it's been told, and then the visual representation of that. I just get very passionate about it when the photograph tells the story. It's a beautiful thing. Like, it's so simple.
Yeah.
We were
lovely.
talking about this fantastic photograph just before, and I wanted to know whether it was real or not, which is something that I really don't enjoy asking. And so that brings us to just a little bit of a quick conversation about AI. And, it upsets me immensely when I look at an image and then I have to wonder whether it's real, because I want to love it for what it is.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I don't think news media, there is a place really for AI in photography. If it's a story about it, sure. If, somebody's playing around and look what we can do, look how to do some sort of a comparison or something. But I think that's going to get in the way of the truth.
Yeah.
And the realness of reporting news.
And is there anything that you need to take as a photo editor, a precaution to ensure that the images that you are looking at, because it's just going to get better and better. Even us that are so
Scary.
good at looking at photography, I have to
Scary.
double look at things sometimes, and then I'm even like, is there anything that you're going to get people to start signing, or how do you see that moving forward, or is that sort of a little bit nanny state?
Look, this has just recently come up in the last couple of weeks, and also with all our EBA negotiations. And that was written into part of the deal about making sure that any plans to integrate AI in the newsrooms need to be consulted with staff, which I'm 100% behind.
Yeah.
Because maybe there are some places for it. I'm not quite sure where.
Yeah, it's so new now, isn't it? We're not quite sure.
Yeah, we're right at the top of it, really.
We are.
We barely even scratch the
It
surface.
could be a slippery slope, Harry.
Yeah.
I hope not. But yeah, I don't really see a place for it at the moment. But
Well,
never say never.
we are so thrilled that you came in today, and I know you're exhausted and you've just been above and beyond.
Will you
and
recharge
getting
my
here.
batteries a bit, you two?
And then we lost
Your
you when we were
company.
running around the uni going, where the bloody
And I
hell
was
is she?
sitting in
And you
here.
were there the whole time. But Danie, one of the things that we've done for everybody that we're talking to is we sort of tie it up with at the end, and we love to ask, what do we love to ask, Harry?
Why do you do what you do? In this day and age of AI and, all the other things that are kind of stopping photographers kind of doing what they do.
Shit and linoleum, I think the word is.
Do what you do?
Why do I do it? Because I absolutely love it. And I am very, very fortunate to have a career that I love, and as stressful and as high-paced as it is, the people I work with, the collaborations, the quality of the work, it inspires me, and I'm an advocate for them, and I want to see the best visuals in our papers. So yeah, who wouldn't love that?
Oh, well, I've got to say, actually, that being a picture editor for a major newspaper is actually a wish dream job of mine. And
absolutely.
it would be my absolute dream job.
It's awesome.
That and being a famous podcaster.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I think
there must be a thrill and excitement. I know it's long hours and it must be so exhausting as well, but there must be such a thrill that you get from just working with people and executing that at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And look, we make compromises all the time. So there's things you've got to fit images to, certain formats sometimes. But it is thrilling, and if you see some of the work that Eddie's been shooting, just with the Olympics, it's just
blows your
phenomenal.
mind.
Amazing.
Yeah. And you want people to see those shots.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Dan, for coming in.
You're welcome,
Thank you,
Sal and
Sarah.
Harry.
It's been so wonderful to have you here. And we just want to thank ColArts for being in the wonderful photo booth.
No, we're in a pod.
Podcasting pod.
A sound booth.
We'll thank Tristan and Shaquille as well for their amazing audio work, and Martin for the great intro and outro music.
It's my husband. He played the guitar for the music, so enjoy it.
That guitar?
No, that's a different guitar.
Okay, I can't wait to hear
I know. It's got a jingle.
It does have a jingle.
It does have a jingle.
It's got a podcast jingle.
Well, I look forward to seeing you in our next episode. Thank you, Harry.
And thanks again, Danie.
Off to the pub for us.
Off we go.
Thanks, Danie.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.